On a September morning in 1994, the peace of Jiamusi City, Heilongjiang Province, was shattered by a horrifying discovery. Local residents frantically reported to the police station about finding 2 plastic bags containing human legs in the thick bushes along the eastern bank of the Songhua River. Before the news could settle, the suburban Yonghang Police Division received similar reports. More human body parts were discovered scattered throughout the area. Police immediately arrived at the scene. They quickly cordoned off the area and carefully collected the dismembered remains, packaging each part separately for forensic examination. Although many body parts were missing, making victim identification difficult, preliminary examination revealed a heartbreaking truth. These were the remains of 3 victims: a man, a woman, and a child. Investigators suspected they were from the same family. Since the riverbank wasn't the primary crime scene, the investigation faced significant challenges. In the early 1990s, when forensic technology was still rudimentary compared to today's standards, tracking the perpetrator's traces became increasingly difficult. Despite the investigators' best efforts, the case remained a maze without an exit, forcing them to temporarily suspend the investigation. Time passed until June 1995, 9 months after the first case, when another chilling report reached the police. Residents had discovered more plastic bags containing human remains in irrigation ditches among rice fields near a bridge in the southern part of the city. Within less than a year, 4 lives had been taken, putting immense pressure on local law enforcement. Each day that passed without finding the perpetrator added to the growing unease among residents. In the forensics laboratory, experts meticulously pieced together the newly discovered remains. The examination revealed that the victim's head was missing, with only some body parts remaining, including the left chest area. Besides determining that the victim was male, other clues remained elusive. However, veteran investigators with years of experience began forming sharp hypotheses. When combined with autopsy results, what seemed like an unsolvable mystery started revealing new leads. Although the body parts were incomplete, the remaining pieces provided valuable insights into the victim's lifestyle. For instance, the yellowed fingernails matched characteristics of a long-term smoker. The slightly curved spine and developed leg muscles suggested an office worker who spent long hours sitting. Based on bone age, the victim was estimated to be between 32 to 35 years old, standing approximately 5 feet 10 inches to 5 feet 11 inches. Through these deductions, investigators began forming a general profile of the victim. But without facial features, where should they begin? At this point, the police devised a strategy. They broadcast an information request on local television during primetime news, running continuously. Male accident victim currently in hospital. Height approximately 5 feet 10 inches, strong build, with a scar on left wrist. Reward offered for information, contact details provided. Unexpectedly, this broadcast would crack open the case. Shortly after airing, an elderly man called the police number. He identified himself as Mr. Dong and explained that his son, Dong Da-king, hadn't visited him in several days. He had called both his son's home and workplace, but couldn't reach him, causing him to fear something had happened. Investigation revealed that Dong Da-king was 33 years old, working as a law enforcement officer in Jiamusi City's judicial system. After his divorce, he lived alone. The last time Mr. Dong saw his son was in late May, when he learned his son had started dating a woman surnamed Ren, though he had never met her. Mr. Dong could identify his son through the left wrist scar, a remnant from breaking up a fight when he was cut by a broken bottle. With the information provided, police quickly traced Da-king's residence through household registration records. However, they were met with disappointing news from neighbors. No one had seen Da-king for quite some time. The last sighting was on the evening of June 1st, Children's Day, when he returned home with his girlfriend. Neighbors recalled hearing him call her Xiue, remembering her as a strikingly beautiful woman. With Mr. Dong's permission, police broke into the apartment. The scene that greeted them was shocking. The home was not only in disarray but covered in blood splatters from the living room to the kitchen walls and floors. Small pieces of tissue resembling minced meat were scattered across the floor, creating a horrifying scene. Blood tests confirmed a match with Dong Da-king's blood type. Without doubt, this was the primary crime scene. The urgent task became finding Ren Xue, Da-king's girlfriend, who might hold crucial information about the case. However, this wasn't simple. Xue was a common name, and police weren't even sure if it was her real name. Still, they maintained hope when they learned the couple had met through a matchmaking service. Investigators began searching through over 200 marriage introduction centers across the city. In the 1990s, before computers were common, manually searching through tens of thousands of paper files seemed nearly impossible. Yet surprisingly, this old-fashioned method yielded results. They found Dong Da-king and Ren Xue's registration at the Weimei Marriage Introduction Center. Using the information and photos from the registration, police narrowed their search to the Dongfeng district. By coincidence, when police arrived to make inquiries, they met an elderly woman visiting residents in the area. Upon seeing the photo, she exclaimed, "Isn't this the third daughter of old Ma from our village?" Finally, investigators felt they were getting closer to the truth. Could this third daughter be Dong Da-king's girlfriend, Ren Xue? As police had suspected, this was indeed an alias. According to the elderly woman, the woman was Ma Yanhong, a renowned beauty from their village. With her long black hair and fashionable dress, she attracted much attention, but was also frequently the subject of village gossip. Ma Yanhong was 28 years old, from Huachuan County. Despite having been married to a well-off man and having 2 children, she divorced him, dissatisfied with her life. According to the Ma family, after her divorce in 1993, their daughter moved alone to Jiamusi City to rent an apartment, and they hadn't seen her for nearly 6 months. Her former classmates and villagers described Ma Yanhong as friendly, always quick to smile, though some found this trait rather flirtatious. Whenever she returned to the village, she wore fashionable clothes, leading to speculation about whether she had found success or a wealthy family. Where was Ma Yanhong now? Police concentrated their efforts in Jiamusi City after learning from Mr. Dong about his son's missing savings book containing 20,000 yuan, approximately $2,500 at the time. Suspecting Ma Yanhong had stolen it and would try to withdraw the money, police surveilled the entire banking system, placing plainclothes officers at various branches. After more than 2 weeks of patient surveillance, they finally caught Ma Yanhong one afternoon as she attempted to withdraw money just before the bank closed. Faced with irrefutable evidence and intense questioning in the interrogation room, she was forced to admit to dismembering Dong Da-king's body after he died from alcohol poisoning. However, she insisted the savings book had been promised to her by Da-king. Due to the striking similarities between the dismemberment techniques used in both the September 1994 case and the Dong Da-king case, the Criminal Investigation Department decided to investigate them together. When police prepared to deepen their interrogation, perhaps knowing she could no longer hide the truth, Ma Yanhong suddenly burst into bitter tears. Her painful crying made it seem as if she were the victim. After her crying subsided, she sighed heavily and said, "Well, you can only die once. Whether you kill 1 person or 2, the punishment is the same death. I might as well tell you everything." Through her confession, investigators learned even more horrifying details. During her confession, Yanhong admitted to both murders. Looking at her appearance, investigators could hardly believe that this woman could single-handedly kill an entire family of 3. Yet the details she revealed painted a picture of cold-blooded brutality. After her failed marriage, Yanhong had moved to Jiamusi City to start a new life. Initially, she planned to open a small shop, dreaming of a peaceful and comfortable life. However, lacking business experience, she quickly learned the harsh realities of competition. Watching her meager capital dwindle, she became desperate for money. Financial worries kept her awake at night, constantly searching for ways to make quick money. In this unfamiliar city, Yanhong had few connections. In these circumstances, she began paying attention to her landlord's family. The landlord, Xu Shueli, lived with his wife and young son. They had a spare room for rent to supplement their income. Little did they know that this ordinary decision to rent out a room would lead to their family's tragic end. Initially, Yanhong didn't use her real name when renting, introducing herself as Wang Nan. She fabricated a tearful story about how she and her husband had been successful in business until he ran away with a waitress, taking their child and all their assets. Left with no choice, she claimed, she had to work at a small shop to make ends meet. When she heard the Shu family had a room for rent, she inquired about it. After hearing Ma Yanhong's pitiful story, the kind-hearted couple showed deep sympathy. They offered to rent her the room for just 50 yuan per month, half the usual 100 yuan rate. In the beginning, the relationship between landlord and tenant seemed harmonious. One evening, Yanhong approached Xu Shuili with a worried expression. "Mr. Xu, I'm so embarrassed. The shop owner hasn't returned from purchasing inventory, and I haven't received my salary. I'm afraid I can't pay this month's rent on time. I don't even have money for food now." As she spoke, she let a few tears fall, appearing utterly pitiable. Xu Shuili quickly consoled her and gave her 200 yuan for immediate expenses. To Yanhong, 200 yuan was insignificant. However, she pretended to be extremely grateful, repeatedly expressing thanks. While Shuili was taking out the money, Yanhong's eyes fixed on the stack of crisp 100 yuan bills in his wallet. From its thickness, she estimated there must be at least 5,000 yuan. During their conversation, Shuili inadvertently revealed that his family would be taking the noon train tomorrow to visit relatives in the province, returning in about a week, and asked her to watch the house. This information came just as Ma Yanhong was desperate for money. That night she lay awake, formulating a sinister plan. The next day, August 26th, the Xu family invited Ma Yanhong to join them for breakfast. Seizing this opportunity, she said, "Since you're going on a trip, let me get something to send you off." She hurried to the convenience store and bought 2 bottles of beer. On her way back, she secretly mixed in sleeping pills she had prepared. During the meal, Yanhong was extremely attentive, serving food and pouring beer while speaking sweet, seemingly sincere words. Soon, the sedatives took effect, and all 3 family members began to lose consciousness. She quickly searched Shuili's pockets, took all his cash, then coldly walked to the kitchen, grabbed a sharp knife, and brutally murdered the kind family. Standing before the 3 bodies in the room, Ma Yanhong calculated how to dispose of them. Remembering scenes she'd seen on television, she proceeded to dismember the bodies right there, carefully placing the parts in various sized plastic bags. When night fell, she used her bicycle to transport the bags to irrigation ditches in the rice fields and under bridges. Since neighbors knew the Xu family was away visiting relatives, no one suspected anything when they didn't see the family for a while. What about Dong Da-king? How did they meet? After murdering the Xu family, Ma Yanhong showed no fear. Instead of fleeing Jiamusi City, she found a better apartment to live in. Having discovered how easy it was to obtain money through murder, she developed an even darker plan to continue using similar methods for quick profits. This time, she decided to use her beauty, seeking victims through dating. Using the same deceptive tactics, she registered at a matchmaking center under the alias Ren Shu-A. This time, her divorce story changed. She claimed her in-laws were traditionally minded and had thrown her out because she couldn't bear children. This fabricated story earned her the sympathy of the matchmaking staff, who promised to find her a decent man who would ensure her happiness. Whenever a promising man came to the center, they would think of her first. One day, a matchmaker excitedly told Yanhong about a handsome 5'10" police officer who had registered. This was Dong Da-king. Using her beauty and manipulative words, Yanhong quickly won Da-king's affection. He had no idea that the woman before him was already a seasoned killer. After a brief courtship, she moved into his apartment. Once living together, she began her subtle brainwashing techniques. She would cleverly mention her previous husband's wealth, subtly pressuring Da-king to prove himself financially. Completely off guard, Da-king showed her his savings book containing 20,000 yuan, $2,500, and sweetly promised, "This money will be the foundation of our future." He couldn't have known that this savings book would become his death warrant. In Yanhong's ruthless mind, the money would soon be hers. She used her familiar method again. On June 2, 1995, after an intimate moment, she tenderly told Da King, "You must be tired," then went to the kitchen to cook 2 dishes and brought out 3 cans of beer from the refrigerator. Without suspicion, Da King drank the drugged beer. When Da King was unconscious, Yan Hong was searching for the savings book and preparing to kill him when someone knocked on the door. It was Da King's colleague. Without missing a beat, Ma Yan Hong played the perfect girlfriend, inviting him in, serving tea, offering cigarettes, and smoothly explaining, "I'm sorry, Da King had a bit too much to drink." The colleague tactfully left soon after. This unexpected visitor didn't deter her. Once the apartment was quiet again, she picked up the knife, and this time, with experience from her previous murder, her movements were even more practiced. She dismembered the body so quietly that neighbors had no idea of the horror occurring next door. In a later interview with reporters, Yan Hong admitted she had hesitated before killing Da King. She acknowledged he was an ideal marriage candidate, handsome with a stable job, but the fact that he was a police officer sealed his fate. She realized her previous crimes would eventually be discovered if she lived with a law enforcement officer. Thus, she had already suppressed any feelings that might have developed. Based on Yan Hong's confession, police found and excavated the victims' heads from various locations in the city. The Jiamusi City Intermediate People's Procuratorate immediately filed for prosecution, demanding severe punishment for Yan Hong. This matched both public sentiment and leadership directives for swift, appropriate justice. At this point, with witnesses and evidence complete, the case should have ended with a death sentence. However, during the public trial phase, unexpected complications arose. As a serial killer who took 4 lives, the case drew widespread public attention. However, during the first public trial, Yan Hong suddenly recanted her previous confessions, claiming innocence and stating that her earlier admissions were coerced by police. The defense lawyer for Yan Hong argued, "How could a frail woman single-handedly overpower a trained police officer? How could she alone kill 3 members of the Shu family? Was there perhaps a third party involved?" The court immediately presented evidence showing she had drugged her victims before killing and dismembering them. However, her lawyer countered, "Based on Ma Yan Hong's testimony and chemical analysis of remaining alcohol at both crime scenes, the drug dosage could only make an adult drowsy or semi-conscious at most. Under these circumstances, the likelihood of Ma Yan Hong succeeding alone was extremely low. If she had succeeded, there should have been signs of struggle. Yet police investigations found no such evidence. This raises questions about possible accomplices." The lawyer acknowledged that Yan Hong's actions were heinous and deserved punishment, but argued that rushing to a death sentence while questions remained unanswered could compromise justice and potentially let a larger criminal go free. Ma Yan Hong proved herself a master manipulator during this phase. When the court demanded direct answers about potential accomplices, her responses were deliberately ambiguous, suggesting hidden meanings. She would say things like, "I'll take responsibility for what I did alone," then follow with, "At this point, naming others wouldn't help anyway." The judges, prosecutors, and audience clearly understood these were evasive tactics. Denying accomplices would hurt her case, but claiming them without providing names or evidence wouldn't help either, because these third parties were purely fictional. Nevertheless, the court had to adjourn, allowing the prosecution to gather more evidence of her solo actions while letting the defendant attempt to prove her claims about other participants. In the second trial, there was a sudden twist when Yan Hong unexpectedly named her alleged accomplice, a man surnamed Wang, who had supposedly been working behind the scenes. Wang was reportedly wanted for a murder in Huanan County. However, Ma Yan Hong had been in custody when that case occurred. Still, she provided vivid, detailed stories about how they met, planned the murders, and divided the money, though none of it could be verified. According to legal procedures at the time, cases couldn't be concluded while key persons of interest remained at large. This earned Yan Hong another temporary reprieve. Finally, in 1998, the Jiamusi City Intermediate People's Court held the third trial. The prosecutor's office had thoroughly investigated and proven that Ma Yanhong's claims about knowing Wang were fabricated. She couldn't provide clear physical descriptions of Wang. He wasn't in Jiamusi when she committed the murders, and no third party could confirm any of her claims about their alleged meetings and interactions. Based on this evidence, the court dismissed these diversionary claims and finally sentenced her to death. In 1998, Ma Yanhong, who had killed 4 people, was executed. For money, she had abandoned her husband and children, brutally murdered a kind landlord couple and their innocent child, and killed a police officer who had genuinely cared for her. Ma Yanhong was actually an intelligent woman. She understood how to use her beauty to her advantage. She had every opportunity to take the right path and earn money honestly, but she chose the worst possible route instead. And that's the case for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support our channel. Thank you for watching and see you in the next videos.